What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Bad Religion, and we're back with another request from friend and champion of the channel, Ryan. He said we should listen to In So Many Ways. This is the last tune on their 1998 album, No Substance. This is an album while they were on Atlantic. I mentioned before, the Atlantic albums, I don't quite know them as well as the Epitaph material, either before or to a slightly lesser extent after. Again, the Epitaph material before they went to Atlantic, you know, I've listened to those songs thousands of times, so I do know those songs better than any others. But yeah, I do know this song. What I remember about it mostly is that it deals with human mortality, sorry. The fact that we are, as primates and mammals and animals, we are living creatures who one day will have our metabolic processes cease to function and we will die. And what Greg, I think, is saying in this song, I actually don't know if it's written by Greg. I assume it is because during the Atlantic years, Brett was no longer in the group. And I think, you know, with the exception of maybe one or two tracks, everything during the Atlantic period was solely written by Graffin. But what I believe he's saying, at least in part in this song, is that for many people it's uncomfortable to think about your own mortality, the idea that we're ultimately going to die no matter what we do, no matter how successful we are, no matter how much we learn or how much we acquire over time. You know, death will come for us all, and that's not a very comfortable thing for people to think about. So they just rather, I think the line is like, wallow in mediocrity. They just rather sort of like pin all their hopes on eternal life. Like, well, you know, I guess if I'm a biological creature, well, maybe I'm a special one, so it doesn't really matter like what I do in that regard. Just as long as I believe this thing, I'm going to get to live forever, and I don't have to face my own mortality. So it feels like, in a way, it's sort of a critique of supernatural ideas about eternal life, but I think you could take it more generally just to the idea that many humans don't sufficiently consider their mortality, and they don't, therefore, really savor or take appropriate consideration of how to live their life and how to make the most meaningful use of their time. And meaningful could be many different things. It could be, if you're a creative person, you really try to get as many works as you can, you know, feasibly get out while still living as a normal human being. But yeah, it might be the sort of production of creative work while you're still able and while you still have your faculties. If you're you know, looking for peace and contentment and sort of solace, then having a meaningful life might be, you know, finding the best ways to live in that fashion and allowing others to live in that fashion. So yeah, meaningful could be a lot of different things, but it does seem like the song is essentially saying that too many people sort of go through their life thinking that, like, well, I don't have to worry about my mortality because, you know, as long as I sort of go in line with what, you know, people have told me is the right thing, and you know, just fall in line with society, with culture, like everybody else, then, you know, I guess I will be, I don't have to worry about my mortality because I'll somehow live forever. So I think that's where the song's going, but again, not only my lyrical analyses never definitive in any sense, but certainly with an album like this, where I don't quite know it as well as Suffer, Against the Grain, No Control, Generator, Recipe for Hate, yeah, I feel a little bit more out on a limb, or, you know, sort of out on a plank maybe. But yeah, let me know what you think, and let me know if you have a different take. But let's get it. This is Bad Religion, In So Many Ways, the final tune on their 1998 album, No Substance. A little different than I remember, but yeah. Pressure from this album and New America. I love it. I know them, but
Something in his busy kind of days, catapulting you through the haze. Find your virtuosity, ignite all your sanctity, revealing you in so many ways. Hey, 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 in so many ways we like to follow the sun. In so many ways we turn around and find one. In so many ways we want that to be done. In so many ways we show our pain in unison, unison, unison. In so many ways we live to follow the sun. In so many ways we don't remember love. In so many ways we want that to be done. Oh, in so many ways we show our pain in unison, unison, unison.
get out of here. It's just ridiculous. I was talking to Kim and I was saying, or she was saying that they really have a poetry to their lyrics, and I think that's like the perfect description of Bad Religion. Both Greg and Brett and their songwriting especially, they're like punk rock poets, and not only that, but I just love the way in which even songs that I don't remember. As well, the way they can just hit me like that. It really is a fantastic tune. I also think they're maybe the most harmonious of punk bands. They constantly, it's not just the oohs and ahs as they describe for their backing vocals, but they really have some good harmonies, and they just really compose a tune well. And I was thinking, Brett's talked about his influence of the Beatles and so on. There's a couple moments with those vocal harmonies where you can feel like an oldie-timey influence a little bit. So yeah, just a top tune. Again, I know Brett isn't in the group at this point, but yeah, I do feel like perhaps for the whole band, there's moments where some of their 60s or 70s musical influences come through in their punk rock. In this case, late 90s punk rock. But yeah, let me know what you think. Once again, shout out to Ryan. Absolutely love this band, and it's cool going through some of the albums that I'm a little less familiar with, because it's like I know these tunes and then they start and it's like, oh man, I forgot how good this is. So that was a really good example of that dynamic. So let me know what you think. I will see you next time. Peace.